Hi, so I'm Sophie Haslehurst. I'm a chartered financial planner at Integrity 365. I've been doing this job now for 18 years, joining when I was only 19, and it's something that I always wanted to do and work in. So, my great grandma was one of the first ever female doctors. She graduated in 1917, and she's someone who's really helped me to stay motivated because when I first started doing this job, it wasn't a very easy thing to do as a young woman. Luckily, that has changed quite significantly, but it was very hard to work my way up in a male dominated industry. And knowing that she did that back in 1917 before women even had the vote was something that's really kept me going. For me, it's helping people to achieve their dreams, which can sound a little bit corny, but it's really true. It's when you go through and you support someone to be able to achieve what they really want to achieve. So, retiring at the age they want to retire, knowing that they can, retire when they want to, being able to sort of financially help their children or their grandchildren and just provide for their futures, as well as sort of in the here and now know that they can afford day to day life. So I'm incredibly proud that we've signed the Women in Finance Charter because I actually used to have a client who I still keep in touch with who helped write it. And it was designed to be more transparent when it comes to our profession and how inclusive we are. I feel Integrity does this extremely well, which is one of the reasons I joined. But now we can actually show that compared to a lot of our peers, we truly do it. So it's really exciting and really great that we're not afraid to be that transparent to everyone. And that's why we signed up to it. Ultimately, it shows that we're, really ahead of a lot of people when it comes to supporting, every type of person throughout the business, rather than just being focused on a more traditional financial advice business, which does tend to be sort of male dominated when it comes to client facing roles. So for me, it's the people skills because ultimately, you can give advice to anyone, but it's about knowing that that advice is the right thing for them. So getting to know people, getting them to open up and make them feel comfortable and building that relationship with them, that's really the key part of being a financial planner. And for me, that is one of the biggest skills. You can learn to be better at it, but ultimately it is something that I think most people need to have that want to be able to do that and to get to know people better and to enjoy it, because that's where you can truly build the relationships from. I work very, very hard to achieve chartered status. As someone who's also dyslexic, it was extremely hard to be able to get that qualification, but it is something that's meant so much to me. I don't think qualifications are everything when it comes to a role, but it really does help you to sort of better understand the more technical aspects of client situations and the legislation. I think a lot of people think we're having conversations and not really doing a huge amount of work sometimes, but those conversations are really pivotal to us to be able to give true financial advice to people, because the whole point in seeking advice is to make some really complicated legislation work for individuals. And in order to do that, we need to get to know them better. So the key part of what we do is the conversations and getting to know the client, not just sort of sticking them in a solution. So for me, I think the biggest barrier is people are afraid to admit that they might not understand something. And none of us like to say, I don't know, please can I have some help? But ultimately, sometimes people think, oh, I don't really want to ask for help. So what I would say is we all have to be a little bit humble when it comes to going, I've got this specialism, but I'm not an expert in this. I know I have to do that sometimes, when it comes to things like my insurance, and sort of when it comes to taxation and accounting and things like that. I'm not afraid to ask for help from other professionals. And I think we all have to remember that, it's not a stupid question. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And if you're thinking it, other people probably are as well. So for me, this is about not being afraid to be different. So when I first started training to be an advisor, there was at the firm that I worked in, no one who was specialising in tax efficient investments, which is EIS, VCT, and business relief. Now I saw that as an opportunity. Everyone almost dismissed it a little bit because it wasn't something that was a bit mainstream or it wasn't part of our day-to-day working lives. So I thought, well, this is a bit of a niche and a specialism that I can get myself into. And from there, I've spent the last 15 years sort of dedicating myself to specialising in that area, which means I'm now sort of an expert, as it were. And that's really helped to sort of pivot my career and to give me that sort of edge above other people, as well as really enjoying it and shaping a little bit as well my client bank from that type of person who sort of has a bit of a flavour for that type of investment.